At 77, Gregg Rolie has finally spoken out about his relationship with Steve Perry. And it's not what fans expected. For decades, fans of Journey wondered what really happened between these two powerful voices that helped shape one of the greatest rock bands of all time. Rumors of rivalry, bitterness, and creative differences swirled for years. But now, Rolie has decided to tell his truth, and what he revealed has stunned fans across the world. Stay with us as we uncover this emotional and surprising story, chapter by chapter. Gregg Rolie was already a rock star before Journey even began. As the lead singer and keyboardist of Santana, he had made a name for himself. But when he left Santana, he wanted to start something new. That something became Journey. In the early days, Journey was more about musical exploration than big hits. Gregg was the lead singer, and the band had talent. But they didn't have that one special spark yet. That all changed in 1977 when Steve Perry joined the band. Steve came in with a golden voice. His sound was emotional, clear, and powerful. Gregg could see it right away. This young guy had something magical. While some musicians might feel threatened, Gregg didn't. He welcomed Steve and believed his voice would take the band to the next level. And it did. Their early chemistry was electric. They worked together on songs like Wheel in the Sky and Lights, blending Steve's fresh energy with Gregg's musical experience. Journey was finally getting attention on the radio. Fans loved Steve's voice, but they also admired Gregg's deep musical roots. Still, even in those early days, there were whispers. People in the music business started asking, can there be two leaders in one band? At the time, both Gregg and Steve ignored the noise, but under the surface, a silent shift had already begun. The quiet tension builds. By the early 1980s, Journey had exploded. Albums like Escape and Frontiers turned them into rock superstars. Steve Perry became the face of the band. His soaring vocals were everywhere, and fans screamed his name at every concert. But behind the scenes, things were starting to feel different for Gregg Rolie. Gregg wasn't jealous. He was proud of Steve's success, but he felt like his role was changing. The man who had helped build the band was now stepping back, while the spotlight stayed fixed on Steve. Gregg's soulful voice and signature organ sound were still there, but they were no longer center stage. What made things harder was the pressure from record labels. They wanted more Steve. They wanted radio hits, and that meant less of the band's original jam style and more power ballads, with Steve leading every track. Gregg tried to go with the flow. He kept writing, playing, and staying professional, but he started to feel like a guest in his own band. Meetings became tense. Creative talks turned into debates. The friendship between Gregg and Steve never turned into full conflict, but there was distance. In interviews, neither of them said anything bad about the other, but fans who watched closely could tell something had changed. The two voices that once worked in perfect harmony were slowly growing apart, and Gregg was starting to feel like it might be time to move on. Gregg Rolie walks away. In 1980, after the release of Departure, Gregg made a bold choice. He left Journey. To outsiders, it looked like a shock. Why would someone leave a band that was finally reaching the top? But for Gregg, the answer was simple. He didn't want to lose himself in the fame and the pressure. He wanted peace, balance, and a chance to create music on his own terms. Steve Perry didn't fight him on it. The two shared a quiet goodbye. There were no public fights, no angry press releases. Gregg respected Steve, and Steve respected Gregg. But the silence between them grew even deeper after that. Gregg started focusing on solo work and eventually joined Ringo Starr's all-star band. He stayed active in music, but stayed away from the spotlight that Journey lived in. Steve, on the other hand, led Journey to even greater heights. Songs like Don't Stop Believin' and Open Arms made Steve a legend. Fans often wondered, did Gregg ever regret leaving? Did he hold any anger towards Steve? For years, Gregg never really answered. He would praise Journey and avoid drama, but his silence left a hole. People guessed. Rumors filled the internet. It wasn't until Gregg turned 77 that he finally decided to speak the truth, and what he said left everyone speechless, not because of drama, but because of honesty. The silence was finally over, and Gregg had something powerful to share. Gregg finally speaks out. At 77, during a rare interview, Gregg Rolie finally opened up about Steve Perry, and his words took fans by surprise. "I never hated Steve," Gregg said. "I admired him. He brought a voice that moved people. He changed Journey, yes, but in many ways, he saved Journey too." This was not bitterness, it was grace. Gregg admitted that leaving the band was hard, but he never blamed Steve. Instead, he blamed the system, the industry, that pushes artists into boxes. "We were becoming something I didn't recognize," Gregg explained, "and I didn't want to lose the joy of making music." He also revealed something fans didn't know. After he left, Steve had reached out to him a few times. They spoke quietly, away from cameras. There were no harsh words, just mutual respect. Gregg even said he felt proud of what Journey became, even after his departure. "That band changed lives," he said, and Steve was a big part of that. "I'm grateful I was part of the beginning." Fans were stunned. They expected secrets or grudges, but Gregg gave them peace. He showed that not every band breakup has to end in hate, that sometimes people grow apart with love still in their hearts. He also shared one more surprise. He still listens to Steve's music. "I think his voice is timeless," Gregg smiled. "You don't get many like that in one lifetime." It was a powerful moment, and it made fans look at their story in a whole new light. The reunion that almost happened. Many fans don't know that a Journey reunion with both Gregg and Steve nearly happened. Back in the 1990s, there were talks. Promoters wanted it. Some fans even believed it would heal the band's old wounds. For a moment, it seemed like it might work. Gregg and Steve had reconnected briefly. The idea of them sharing the stage again was exciting, but something didn't feel right. Gregg said, "We thought about it. We really did. But something inside told me not to go backward." He explained that their friendship meant more than a few nights on stage. They had both grown into different people with different dreams. Forcing a reunion might hurt what was left of their bond. Still, Gregg did reunite with Journey once, during their Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction in 2017. Both Gregg and Steve showed up. Though Steve didn't perform, fans saw them smiling, shaking hands, even laughing together. That moment felt like a silent goodbye to the past. Gregg said the moment was beautiful and complete. There was no need to prove anything anymore. They had already left their mark on music history. Whether they shared the stage again or not didn't matter. What mattered was that after all the years, the respect was still there. No drama, no bitterness, just two men who helped build something legendary and chose to part ways with their dignity intact. A legacy bigger than ego. As Gregg Rolie looks back on his life, he sees something bigger than hit songs or fame. He sees a journey filled with purpose. At 77, Gregg still plays music. He still loves the stage. But what he loves more is peace, family, and knowing he stayed true to himself. He didn't fight for the spotlight. He didn't chase headlines. He just followed his heart. About Steve Perry, Gregg now says, "He had one of the greatest voices ever. And he gave everything he had. That takes courage." Their story, filled with talent, change, and quiet respect, teaches something powerful. It shows that even when people grow apart, they can still leave behind something beautiful. Journey wasn't just a band. It was a moment in time when two voices met and created magic. Today, fans listen to Escape or Infinity and hear both men in harmony. Even if they walked different paths later on, the music remains, and so does the legacy. Gregg Rolie's silence wasn't out of anger. It was out of grace. He waited until the time was right to speak. And when he did, it surprised everyone. Not with drama, but with wisdom. At 77, Gregg reminded the world of something important. Real artists don't need to tear others down. They build something lasting, and then they let it speak for itself. That's the mark of a legend. Thanks for liking and subscribing to the Blazing Icons channel. More great information and videos to come.